Have you ever, spent an entire afternoon just anxiously tracking a package on your phone?
Oh, yeah. Constantly refreshing the app.
Right. You totally know the feeling. You're watching that little digital delivery truck just inching closer and closer to your house on the map. And you're terrified that your really expensive item is going to get dropped off and then immediately scooped up by some porch pirate because, you're stuck at the office.
It's incredibly stressful.
It really is. Or, on the flip side of that, maybe you finally get the package, you excitedly open it up, and the sweater doesn't fit. So what do? You just keep it.
Yep, it goes straight to the back of the closet.
Exactly. Not because you actually want it, but because the sheer friction of finding a decent box, buying packing tape, hunting down a printer for the shipping label, and then finding a drop-off bin is just way too much to deal with. If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
No, not at all. I mean, it is really the defining paradox of modern consumerism.
Yeah.
We've engineered this incredibly frictionless digital experience. You can buy almost anything with a single tap on a piece of glass in your pocket. So the digital side is flawless,
Totally.
but the physical reality of, moving actual atoms, actually receiving that item securely or trying to send it back is still incredibly fragile and, frankly, fraught with friction.
And that is exactly what we're getting into today. Welcome to today's deep dive. We've been looking into how massive global logistics networks are quietly changing their whole strategy to solve this exact problem.
It's a huge shift.
It really is. We are focusing specifically on FedEx and how they're increasingly leaning on local brick-and-mortar storefronts to fix this. For this deep dive, we've been researching a specific place called Neighborhood Parcel in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And we're looking at how it acts as this sort of physical bridge in our completely digital shopping world.
Right, because we want to figure out how mom and pop shops are suddenly becoming like the most critical piece of this multi-billion-dollar e-commerce machine.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to really understand why a package gets stolen off your porch or why returning things is such an absolute nightmare, we really have to look at the sheer physics of what happens after you click buy.
Yeah, and it really requires a massive shift in perspective because the scale of global logistics, it honestly just defies normal human comprehension.
Just totally mind-boggling numbers.
And absolutely. Like looking at the operational data from late 2025 and early 2026, FedEx is moving an average of 14.8 million parcels every single weekday in the United States alone.
Wait, 14.8 million every single day?
Every weekday. Just in the U.S. globally, that hits about 17.1 million parcels a day.
That is insane.
And keep in mind, that's just your baseline Tuesday in March. During peak holiday rushes, think Cyber Week, that volume skyrockets by like 35 to 45%.
Oh, wow. So what does that look like in numbers?
They're processing 20 to 22 million U.S. parcels in a single operating day. To put their footprint in context, FedEx handles roughly 19% of all U.S. parcel volume, and they capture 33% of all courier and local delivery revenue.
It's like moving the entire population of a small country in cardboard boxes every 24 hours.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
You've got these fleets of wide-body aircraft crossing oceans. You have these massive sorting facilities that practically look like small cities, and long-haul trucks that are just perfectly synchronized across the interstates.
A completely hyper-optimized machine.
Right. But here's the disconnect. With all of this incredible global infrastructure, why does the system seem to just completely break down right at our front doors?
Well, the breakdown happens because you're crossing a really strict boundary. You're moving from a perfectly controlled environment into absolute chaos.
Okay, chaos in what sense?
Well, a FedEx super hub in Memphis, for example, operates with microscopic precision. Every barcode is scanned by high-speed cameras, conveyor belts route the packages based on algorithms, the temperature is controlled, and human interaction is minimized as much as possible.
So it's like a perfectly predictable ecosystem.
Exactly. But that final stretch of the journey, what the logistics industry calls the last mile, is the most expensive, the most unpredictable, and just the most inefficient part of the entire global supply chain.
Because suddenly the algorithm has to, actually deal with reality.
Right. You're taking a package out of this sterile, highly controlled ecosystem and just releasing it into the wild.
Into the elements?
Yeah. The software might calculate the most mathematically efficient driving route, but it simply cannot account for a barking dog blocking the walkway, or a sudden thunderstorm soaking a cardboard box.
Or confusing apartment building layouts where you can't find the door.
Exactly. Broken gate codes, or, of course, the ever-present threat of a porch pirate literally following the delivery truck down the street. And the density of delivery just drops off a cliff.
What do you mean by density drop-off?
So delivering 50 packages to a single corporate loading dock, that is highly profitable. It's one stop. But delivering 50 packages to 50 different suburban houses where the driver is dodging sprinklers and sitting in traffic, that burns immense amounts of fuel and time.
Ah, I see. So getting a box across the Pacific Ocean is an engineering marvel, but getting it securely into your hands on a random Tuesday afternoon is just a completely different kind of logistical nightmare.
It really is.
Which brings us to why these massive networks just can't solve a local street-level problem with a macro-level algorithm. They need a real physical footprint right in the actual community to absorb all that last-mile chaos. And that is where we look at this source from April 2026 about neighborhood parcel in Massachusetts.
Yeah, this is where the strategy shifts from global to hyperlocal. Neighborhood Parcel operates as an official FedEx Hold For Pickup location. And if we look at the geography of this specific store, the strategy becomes incredibly obvious.
Because of where it's located, right?
Exactly. They're situated right on the Route 38 and I-495 commuter corridor. So they aren't just serving the town of Tewksbury. They're strategically positioned to intercept commuter traffic from neighboring communities, too, like Lowell and Andover.
So by inserting a staffed, secure local business into that chaotic last mile, they're basically neutralizing all those unpredictable human variables you mentioned earlier.
That's the goal. Instead of the driver navigating 50 chaotic driveways, they just drop 50 packages at one secure desk.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And for the customer, like say I'm commuting from Andover, I don't have to stress all day at work about my laptop sitting on my porch. I just pull off the highway on my way home, grab my box, and the porch pirate is entirely removed from the equation.
Completely removed. And if you live in a city like Lowell, which has a lot of dense housing and apartment complexes, this completely bypasses the problem of those overflowing unsecured apartment mailrooms where packages just sit out in the open.
Oh man, apartment mailrooms are the worst for that.
They really are. And this service also caters heavily to the growing demographic of remote workers and frequent travelers. It completely removes the anxiety of having to be tethered to your house during a specific, completely inflexible 4-hour delivery window. You get to dictate the pickup time, not the delivery driver.
Okay, but let's clarify the actual mechanics of how a customer triggers this,
Right.
because I think this is important. Wait, so is this just a backup plan for when a delivery driver misses me, or can I actually plan this in advance? Like if I'm buying a new laptop online, can I tell the retailer from day one to just send it directly to this secure location?
So it actually functions as both, but they run on two distinct logistical tracks that the sources outline. The first track is called FedEx Hold For Pickup.
Okay, hold for pickup.
Right. And this is a pre-shipment designation, meaning when you're checking out on a retailer's website, instead of entering your home address, you can actually select a place like Neighborhood Parcel as the final destination on the shipping label itself. This happens before the laptop ever even leaves the warehouse.
So it's baked into the routing from the very beginning. It never even attempts to go to my house. It goes straight to the local hub.
Exactly. Now, the second option is a post-shipment redirect. This one is formally called Hold at Location.
Hold at location.
Yeah.
Got it. So what's the difference?
In this scenario, the laptop is already in transit toward your house. It literally has your home address printed on the box. But your schedule suddenly changes, you realize you won't be home, and you want to intercept it. So you log into the FedEx Delivery Manager tool, and you manually reroute that specific tracking number to the local store while it's mid-flight.
Okay, so whether you bake it in from the start or you reroute it mid-flight, both paths ensure the package ends up safely waiting at the store instead of just sitting exposed on a welcome mat.
Right, and they'll hold it there securely for up to 7 calendar days, completely for free.
Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at this from the local store's perspective for a second. If a place like Neighborhood Parcel is transforming into this mini warehouse, basically holding on to everyone's valuable laptops and birthday gifts and sensitive legal documents, the security has to be pretty ironclad.
Oh, it has to be.
Because they can't just hand a box to anyone who walks in off the street and gives a fake name. It's essentially a package hotel with a very strict VIP list at the door.
That's a great analogy. The convenience of this whole system is entirely dependent on rigorous security protocols. The ID requirements are strictly designed to eliminate the social engineering tactics that package thieves often use.
So what do I actually need to bring with me to get my box?
Well, just having the FedEx tracking number or the physical door tag the driver left that is not enough. You must present a government-issued photo ID, so a driver's license, a passport card, or a state ID.
Okay, pretty standard.
But here's the critical failsafe.
Right.
The address printed on that physical ID must perfectly match the destination address printed on the package's shipping label.
Oh, well, that creates a great firewall against theft, sure. But it also kind of creates some friction for normal people, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, what if I just signed a lease on a new apartment, right? I ordered a bunch of stuff for the new place, but I haven't had time to go to the DMV to update my driver's license yet. My ID address is definitely not going to match the label on those boxes.
Right, and the logistics network actually accounts for those real-life edge cases. If your primary ID doesn't match, FedEx allows the location to accept secondary supporting proof of address.
Like what? What counts as proof?
You can bring in a recent utility bill, a health or auto insurance card, or a credit card statement, as long as it shows your name and the new matching address.
Okay, that makes it easier.
And the system also builds in flexibility for households, like a spouse or a housemate can pick up a package on your behalf. But again, their ID address has to match the destination address on the label, and they need to have the tracking information.
Gotcha. Now, let me play devil's advocate here on the routing side, because this is where my own logistics usually break down. Let's say I'm sitting at my kitchen table. I have the tracking app open. I see the digital delivery truck is literally 2 streets away heading toward my house. But suddenly I have a family emergency and I have to leave right that second. Can I just tap a button in the app and reroute it to a neighborhood parcel at the very last second?
No, that is a hard boundary in the system.
Really? Not even if I catch them early in the day?
The source material is very explicit about this. If a package has already been loaded onto a local delivery vehicle for that day's specific route, it cannot be redirected mid-delivery.
I guess that makes sense. Because you can't ask a driver who is actively navigating traffic to suddenly stop, dig through a truck packed with 100 boxes to find mine, and just change their route on the fly.
Precisely. Delivery trucks are packed using a methodology called last in, first out, or LIFO.
LIFO, right.
The packages are physically arranged in the back of the truck to correspond with the algorithmic driving route. So the box meant for the end of the day is literally buried at the very front of the truck. If you try to communicate with a driver to alter their optimized route in real time, or you ask them to dig out a package out of sequence, you destroy the efficiency of the entire route.
So when do you actually have to make that decision by?
All redirection requests generally have to be made before midnight the day before your scheduled delivery. You have to do it while the package is still sitting in a sorting facility where the automated belts can cleanly and easily divert it.
Okay, so returning to the package hotel analogy, it's a hotel with a very strict bouncer checking IDs. And you absolutely must make your routing reservations in advance. You can't just crash there at the last minute.
Exactly. And extending that analogy even further, not every single package is even allowed to book a room in the first place.
Wait, really? There are restrictions on what they'll accept?
Oh, definitely. There are strict exclusions based on the physical realities of a mom-and-pop storefront. For example, priority overnight and second-day Saturday delivery are generally not eligible for this hold service.
Why not?
Because the routing for those ultra-fast premium tiers is separate and highly specific. They don't want to complicate that specific flow.
I see. And I imagine a local place like Neighborhood Parcel can't handle things like, I don't know, massive furniture or hazardous chemicals either.
Exactly right. Hazardous materials, dangerous goods, and oversized freight are strictly prohibited. A local shipping center simply doesn't have the square footage to hold industrial tractor tires, nor do they carry the environmental liability insurance to store industrial chemicals.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare for a local shop.
Right. So the Hold for Pickup service is meticulously designed for everyday consumer e-commerce. We're talking about items moving via FedEx Ground, FedEx Express Standard, and home delivery.
Okay, so let's flip the entire narrative here. Let's say your package was eligible. It successfully navigated the 14.8 million parcel river. It bypassed the porch pirates. It arrived at Neighborhood Parcel. You showed your matching ID to the bouncer. And the laptop. Or, actually, let's go back to the sweater example from the beginning. The sweater is finally in your hands.
Success.
Right. But then you get home, you try the sweater on, and it's just terrible. It doesn't fit. The color is weird. You want your money back. Now we are no longer talking about receiving logistics. We are entering the incredibly complex world of reverse logistics.
Oh, reverse logistics. It is, frankly, the fastest growing financial black hole in modern retail.
Black hole. That sounds intense.
Well, think about it. Getting a product to a consumer is a linear, predictable path. But getting it back, that is chaotic. And consumers have been completely trained to expect this return process to be utterly painless.
Oh, for sure. If it's a hassle, I get annoyed.
Right. And the consumer psychology data from the January 2026 source is staggering on this point. 67% of online shoppers explicitly state they are more likely to buy from a retailer if they know the returns process is easy.
67%. That's
And
huge.
it goes deeper. Over half, 54%, say the return policy directly influences their initial decision to click buy in the first place.
Because retailers are actively weaponizing frictionless returns to boost their conversion rates. They know that if I don't have to worry about the hassle of returning a sweater, I am way more likely to take a risk and just buy it.
Exactly. It lowers the barrier to entry.
But historically, all that friction was placed entirely on the consumer. The anxiety of buying something isn't really about the money, usually. It's about the impending dread of the chore.
The dreaded chore of the return.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finding a box in your recycling bin that isn't totally crushed, ripping off the old shipping label so the barcode scanners don't get confused, trying to tape it shut without it looking like a disaster, and then the worst part, hunting down a working printer for the new label.
It's awful. But the logistics industry realized that forcing consumers to act as these amateur warehouse packers was actually costing the retailers millions of dollars.
Wait, costing the retailers? How?
Because it was a total disaster on the receiving end. Retailers were getting thousands of individually taped, irregularly sized, just poorly packaged boxes showing up at their warehouse docks every day.
Oh, I guess every box would look different.
Completely different. And each one of those bespoke boxes required actual human labor to slice open, inspect, and manually process. It was a massive bottleneck. The solution to this was a huge paradigm shift in the form of QR code returns. And this is exactly what they are processing at local hubs like Neighborhood Parcel now.
Right, the QR system. And here's where it gets really interesting for anyone who doesn't own a printer. The mechanics of this QR system completely eliminate the consumer friction. I don't need a printer. Honestly, I don't even need a box.
No box, no tape, no label.
It's amazing. The retailer just emails me a digital QR code. I walk into Neighborhood Parcel holding the loose unboxed sweater in one hand and my phone in the other.
And that's it. The staff at the local counter just scans the digital code on your screen. And that single scan triggers a massive chain reaction on the back end.
What happens when they scan it?
Well, locally, the system physically prints the necessary, perfectly formatted routing label right there behind the counter. The staff takes your loose sweater, consolidates it with other returns going to the same macro facility, and injects it back into the FedEx network using standardized packaging.
Standardized packaging so the warehouse doesn't have to deal with my terrible taping job.
Exactly. It streamlines the receiving dock for the retailer.
Wait, I have a question about that scan. If they scan that QR code right there at the counter in Massachusetts, that digital handshake must instantly ping the retailer's database, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So the retailer knows the item is coming back before I even walk out the door of the local shop.
You've just identified the hidden data coup of reverse logistics. This is the secret sauce. For the consumer, yes, it's a convenience. But for the massive retailer, it is an incredibly powerful data acquisition tool. Because that real-time scan happens at a verified, trusted physical checkpoint, the retailer can confidently issue the customer a refund almost immediately.
Oh, wow. So they don't have to wait a week for the physical sweater to slowly make its way back to their warehouse to prove I actually sent it.
Exactly. They trust the scan from the authorized local counter.
Which builds massive brand loyalty because I have my money back in my account before I even get to my car in the parking lot. But obviously, not having to find a box is great for you and me, but how else does this benefit the retailer?
Well, it means they can update their digital inventory instantly. Think about it. If someone in California is looking for that exact blue sweater on the website, the retailer can list it as in stock and sell it again while the physical item is still literally sitting in a bin at Neighborhood Parcel.
That is wild. It transforms the local mom-and-pop shipping center into the actual loading dock of the digital retailer.
It completely optimizes the reverse supply chain.
Hmm.
Instead of dealing with unpredictable waves of mystery boxes arriving at random times, the retailer's algorithms have total visibility into exactly what inventory is flowing backward through the pipeline day by day.
So they can plan ahead.
Right. They can dynamically adjust their warehousing labor, they can predict their stock levels accurately, and most importantly, they minimize the time an item spends in transit where it's just depreciating in value.
Wow. Okay, so stepping back and looking at this entire ecosystem we've explored today, the biggest takeaway for you listening right now is that the illusion of seamless online shopping is just that, an illusion. This idea that goods just magically float from an app into your living room and back again, it is supported by a staggeringly massive physical infrastructure.
A very messy physical reality.
Totally. And while the cargo airplanes and those massive automated Memphis sorting facilities get all the glory, it's actually the local storefronts that are doing the heavy lifting at the end of the line. Places like neighborhood parcels are really the unsung heroes acting as the actual physical bridge in our digital shopping world.
They're absorbing all the shock.
Exactly. From dodging porch pirates with a secure 7-day hold to skipping the printer entirely and triggering instant digital refunds with a QR code, they are the ones absorbing the chaotic friction of the last mile. So the next time you're on your phone and you confidently tap buy or you hit return, picture the local store down the street and that 17 million parcel global network working together behind the scenes to make that single digital click a physical reality.
It really perfectly captures the strange evolution of local commerce. And, it leaves us with a fascinating, maybe slightly provocative thought for you to mull over.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if local shipping centers are rapidly becoming the most reliable, secure, physical touchpoints for our increasingly digital lives, how might this reshape the very concept of the traditional storefront?
That's a good point.
Could it be that the main street businesses of the future will survive and thrive not by selling us local goods, but simply by serving as the trusted physical guardians of the things we buy from the digital cloud?
That is a really interesting question to leave off on. Next time you drive past your local shipping center, you might just see it in a completely different light.